ANC Viva. Molweni. Dumelang. Sanbonani. Abisheni. Dimasiari. Program Director, the Stofile family, Sis Nambita, the Siwisa family, the Secretary General of the African National Congress, the Treasurer General of the ANC, the National Chairperson of the ANC, Comrade Kgalema Motlanthe, former Deputy President of the ANC and former President of our Republic, members of the National Executive Committee, past and present, the Premier of the Eastern Cape and the Chairperson of the ANC in the Eastern Cape, as well as members of the Provincial Executive Committee, ministers, deputy ministers, MECs, traditional leaders of our people here in the Eastern Cape, members of Parliament, members of the provincial legislature, members of local government, and yes, the executive mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay, who is here, and other mayors, members of the diplomatic corps, representatives of religious organizations, the Vice Chancellor of Forte University, Professor Tom, and representatives of the academia who are here, as well as the leaders of the sporting fraternity, comrades and friends and fellow South Africans. This is a rather special occasion, an occasion where we have not only come to bid farewell to Reverend Makhenkesi Stofile, but for us in the African National Congress, it feels like a cadres forum where the leadership of the African National Congress has also come here to feel the pulse of the membership of the African National Congress. And I will come back to this point. We gather here to bid farewell, indeed, to one of the Eastern Cape's and South Africa's finest sons, Comrade Stof, a beloved comrade and a friend, embodied in his personal makeup, his social and political consciousness, and his religious devotion. More than most, the values and the qualities that I would say many of us seek in ourselves. He embodied incredible values that many of us would have wanted to see in ourselves. His whole life, his personality, and his political as well as social consciousness was shaped and molded by his organization, the African National Congress, an organization to which he devoted his life's work, an organization that he deeply loved, an organization that he remained a member of, and may I add, a disciplined member of, until his dying day. He was a revolutionary reverend, as well as a revolutionary politician. And many of us ascribed a number of titles to his various names. We called him Stof, and I've often thought whether one could have had a revolutionary bra, and maybe he was the leading revolutionary bra. He was unwavering in his faith, and he was very firm in his political convictions, and he was a principled political leader. He lived his life in pursuit of the biblical injunction that the oppressed shall be set free and the hungry shall be fed. And as we gather here on this sad day, but also a celebratory day, we can say with conviction that Stof's life was not given to regret, for he was an architect of hope and a combatant for social justice. As we gather here, we celebrate a life lived in devotion. We celebrate the outstanding contribution that he has made to our country and its people. And even as he can no longer utter a single word, we can say that we are hearing his many words. Stof spoke eloquently through many voices today. His remarkable life will continue to embolden the hearts of those who knew him to deepen the struggle of equality and for dignity. And even as we pay tribute to his outstanding contribution, we yearn at this moment in the history of our nation for people of the caliber and of the character of Comrade Stof. Comrade Stof was a person of great courage. That is one of the key attributes that I think many of us will remember him for. He risked his life for his people and his movement. He is one of many leaders and members of our movement who endured persecution as well as imprisonment. He fought for the people, no matter the personal cost, because it was what his consciousness or his conscience demanded. When the apartheid security apparatus was at its most powerful, when its Bantustan proxies were at their most brutal, he was prepared to stand up for what was right and good and true. He was even prepared to endure pain and suffering and to sacrifice to protect others. A week before he died, he was visited by one of the comrades that he worked with. They reminisced about the past, but more specifically about how this comrade, having been arrested, refused to testify against Comrade Stof. They recalled that when he heard about her dilemma, he sent a message to her, to her mother, and to other comrades, and insisted that she should testify against him. He was concerned that if she did not testify, she would herself be sentenced to prison for refusing to testify against him. She struggled with this for quite a while, And as the messages kept coming from Comrade Stof, she relented. She testified, but during her testimony, she perjured herself. He achieved his objective. She did not go to prison, but he was sentenced to 12 years imprisonment. Comrade Eddie Funde, who was our representative of the ANC, that is, during the years of banning, recalls how in 1984, when he was the ANC chief rep in New Zealand, Comrade Stof testified in a New Zealand court against the All Blacks tour to South Africa. His testimony led to the tour being stopped. On his return, he was arrested because of his testimony. Leaders who are prepared to sacrifice their own freedom and well-being and stand in harm's way to save others and to bear testimony to the truth the way that Comrade Stof did are rare. These are the types of defining attributes that we want in our leaders. Leaders who will put others first, their organizations first, principle first, before their own interests. And yet, though that iniquitous system that persecuted, humiliated and degraded him has been consigned to history, our country still yearns for people like Arnold Stofile. Now, at this moment, we need people who exhibited and who will exhibit the type of courage that Comrade Stof exhibited. We need people who understand, as he did, that politics must be about putting the country first, the people first, and other parochial and self-interest last. We need people who will stand up for what is right. We need people who will stand up and uphold the values of our movement, like what Comrade Arnold Stofile did throughout his life. We need people who will not only ask difficult questions of ourselves and of our movement, of our leaders, but people who are prepared to do the demanding and exacting work required to truly transform our society. Reverend Stofile was a person of outstanding integrity who lived his life based on the values of the African National Congress. He had an essential honesty rooted in his profound respect for the rights, the dignity, and the humanity of others. As we have all heard, he was a humble, unassuming person, not given to affectation. Now, at this moment, perhaps more than ever, we need people of high integrity like Reverend Arnold Stofile. Like him, we need people who reject the notion that politics is about the promotion of one's own narrow self-interest. We need people who will not succumb to the temptations of public office, who will not take for themselves what rightly belongs to the masses. In a society that prizes status and wealth, we need people who, like Comrade Stof, regard the lowliest amongst us ordinary people amongst us as the most significant and as the most valued of our people. He believed that politics should fundamentally be about morality, about truth, uprightness, honesty, compassion for the poor and for those who suffer. That is how Comrade Stof lived his life. And in many ways, that is the bequest that we get from a life well lived, like that of Comrade Stof. Above all, one of the most defining and outstanding attributes of Comrade Stof is that he was a disciplined cadre of our movement. He was a strong believer in the power of a popular mandate and the profound responsibilities that derive from that mandate. He knew that leaders must earn the trust and confidence of the people by articulating a coherent moral vision that is compelling, that describes and exemplifies the national democratic society, and that reflects the values that are enshrined in our Constitution. He paid great attention to the detail of running an organization. Many people who know him said he was one of the most outstanding administrators. He believed that his movement, the African National Congress, was a movement that derived its strength from its branches and from its membership. And that is why he wanted to see the African National Congress as a well-run movement. He understood discipline, not merely as a matter of rules and regulations, but as the product of a deliberate decision to dedicate oneself to the struggle of our people. For him, discipline was as much about attending meetings, undertaking tasks, and respecting time as it was about working hard and placing the interests of the people above one's interests. If we are to be honest leaders, that Comrade Stof urged us to be, we cannot lay him to rest without acknowledging the anguish that he felt at the state of our movement and of our national democratic revolution. He has taken time today, as he has spoken through a number of people who spoke here, but more specifically, as he has spoken through Comrade Hintsa Siwisa, as well as Comrade Sipho Pijana, thus sending a message through the Secretary General of the ANC to the leadership of the ANC. In the weeks before his passing, he expressed a concern that the ANC may lose Nelson Mandela Bay and other key centers. His concern was almost prophetic. As the results of the local government elections came in, his fears were indeed confirmed. We must recognize, as he did, that unless the African National Congress acts with urgency and determination to correct the flaws that run through the organization, to address our weaknesses, we place many of the gains of our democratic revolution at risk. It is at moments like this, as we confront new and difficult challenges, that we need people like Comrade Stofile, who speak directly, who speak truth, and who don't mince their words. And today, Comrade Stof has spoken to us. There are a number of us here who are leaders of the ANC, and we have listened. Comrade Hinza, Comrade Sipho, we have heard. The ANC, having issued its statement after the NEC meeting, said that it takes, the leadership, that is, the NEC takes responsibility, collective responsibility for what has happened. We are currently in reflective mode. We are listening, we are reflecting, and we are considering. And I guess we can say we perhaps needed to go beyond saying we take collective responsibility and actually say we take individual and personal responsibility as the leaders of the ANC. Speaking for myself, as the Deputy President of the ANC, I'm prepared to say I do take personal and individual responsibility. This is a moment for us not only to feel the pulse of our movement, but to listen to what our members are saying. Today, we have heard you. As the chairperson of our provincial executive committee, Comrade Phumlo, said here, we are humbled and honored that many of the people who are here are members of the African National Congress. And we know you are proud members of the ANC. But amongst us, there are also non-members. We therefore need, having heard all this, we therefore need to take the messages that Comrade Stof himself has transmitted, the messages that have been transmitted by the comrades who spoke, including the family. We need to take those messages to the structures of our movement. We will be discussing all the issues that have been articulated. And may I add, we are in a process of going throughout the country, listening to our members. We will be listening, and we will be listening very, very closely and intently. A number of propositions have been put on the table. The Secretary General spoke to those at the press conference, and all of them are pointing to the leadership of the African National Congress. And we will take heed and we will address all those issues. Right now, we need an ANC membership that will rise above factionalism, that will rise above petty jealousies that continues to afflict our movement. We need to work tirelessly to achieve unity in our movement. It is at moments like this that we will need to hear in a very straightforward manner the views that are being articulated by some of the comrades. As the comrades speak truth to us, to leadership, we will take care not to dismiss them as counter-revolutionaries. We will take care not to say that they are pursuing an agenda that comes from outside the country. We will make sure that we do listen, because they say what they are saying because they love their organization. They are not the enemy. It is at moments like this that we need cadres who have the strength of character and of clarity of purpose to overcome the obstacles that currently face our movement. Comrades who will be able to come up with ideas and thoughts that will advance the struggle for the fundamental transformation of our society. A society that will do everything in its power to rid our beloved country of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. And today, comrades and compatriots, we are here in numbers to witness the last smile of a brave freedom fighter. We will always remember him as a selfless public servant, a committed academic, a devout spiritual leader, and a dedicated father. He was an outstanding government leader. One of the things that he was concerned about was what he perceived as the continuous battles that happen in government, where one wing of government seems to talk against another wing of government, where another wing of government seems to act against another one. And right now we're facing more or less a similar situation, where the Minister of Finance is today almost facing what could be arrest. It's something that should concern us. It should concern us because when a government works well, it should be a government that does not wage war against itself. And I would like, standing here, to pledge my total confidence in the Minister of Finance, in the way that he's been doing his work. I am glad that the President issued a statement earlier and said that he has confidence in our Minister of Finance. I echo the same confidence in our Minister of Finance and say that whatever various agencies of government have to do, we should do it in a way that does not destabilize government, that does not destabilize our economy, that does not demonstrate to our people that we are a government that is at war with itself. This is the type of concern that Comrade Stofile would have expressed. And indeed, when he was the ambassador of our country in Germany, he had occasion to talk to me on the telephone and expressed his concern about these types of things and said, Deputy President, let us make sure that when our government works, it works as a united unit. It works as a unit that inspires confidence in the minds of our people and to the international community as well. I want to speak about something else that Comrade Stof led us in. Comrade Stof was deeply committed to non-racialism. He worked tirelessly to bring together South Africans of all races into a common effort to build a new united nation. He did this as a religious leader. He did this as a sport administrator. And this is a legacy that we should inherit from him. that we should continue with our project of non-rationalism. We should continue with the project of uniting all our people. He also firmly believed in gender equality and in the advancement of women in all spheres of national life. Many women, particularly in this region, remember how Comrade Stof encouraged a number of women leaders to take up leadership positions when it was rare to do so. Comrade Stof had this great ability of not only encouraging people to come into their own, into leadership positions, but also he had the great ability of nurturing young leaders, but more especially women leaders. His sense of humor has been spoken about. Many of us who knew him well knew that he had a wicked sense of humor, and his sense of humor was legendary and infectious. Who can forget his mischievous chuckle and his belly-deep laugh and his love for life? This is the nature of the person that we are bidding farewell to today. His was a life full of purpose and inspiration, and filled with an unrelenting quest to improve the human condition. And as we struggle to come to terms with our grief and our loss, we are comforted by the profound impact that his life has had on many of us. We are comforted also by the knowledge that his legacy will endure and that his memory will continue to inspire hope and courage and determination to many who will seek to follow in his footsteps. As South Africans, we are fortunate to have been blessed with the presence in our midst of a patriot of the caliber of Reverend Stofile. And on behalf of the government and the people of South Africa, I convey to the Stofile family, as well as friends, our deepest condolences on this profound loss. May you find comfort and strength, as we seek to do, in the fact that Comrade Stof lived his life to the fullest and served his people with courage and distinction. Reverend Stofile has now joined the illustrious legend of many departed stalwarts and legends from this province and from throughout our country. Legends and stalwarts who served their country with commitment, passion, and selflessness. Comrade Stof, your struggle, our struggle, the people's struggle will continue, for we have to deliver on the dream of our founding fathers and mothers, of our glorious movement that South Africa should indeed become a truly non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous country for all. Many of us present here, Comrade Stof, are proud and honored that we fought side by side with you for the freedoms that are set out in the Freedom Charter. You have handed us your baton. We shall continue to fight for those freedoms that are set out in the Freedom Charter until they are realized. May your soul rest in peace eternally. Hamba kahle, Mkhonto wesizwe. I thank you.